Hey, what's up, everybody? This is Gardening with Chuck, and I'm Jeremy. And I wanted to share my top 10 always will be grown in my garden during the classic season. To me, the classic season is basically in between the frosts. I'm in zone 5B, which is in Denver. And so, between the last frost of the spring and the first frost of the fall, these are things that will always grow no matter where I'm at, where I'm living, how I'm doing. I will always have these top 10 things in my garden. It was very hard to narrow them down because there's so much that I love, but I narrowed it by the classic part of the season, and so these are my top 10. My first and all time is and are jalapenos. Jalapenos are my first love of the garden as far as food. I started off growing flowers. When I first started growing food, when I was younger, I grew jalapenos and I loved it. And they loved me back. They were very prolific. Um, I figured out all of the tips and tricks and all of the ways to get the most. I've practiced over the years. I've done special techniques that I'll share along the way, but jalapenos, number one. I will always have them in my garden every single season. Number two favorite and all time are zucchini. This is a packet of gray zucchini, which is another type of zucchini. There's the Black Beauty and the which is like the regular green, thin, thin skin summer type variety of squash that you're familiar with. It comes in green, yellow, comes in gray, comes in all kinds of colors. But zucchini number two, always, always, always. I love it. It's so versatile. I love cooking with it. I love baking with it. I love all the things you could do with it. I love how it kind of has no flavor, which leaves the possibilities endless for you to season it however you want it to be flavored. Number two, zucchini. My number three is another pepper. It's a poblano pepper. These are the types of peppers that you use to make chile rellenos. So you basically will like toast them, roast them, cut them open, stuff them, egg batter them, fry them. They're amazing. They're so flavorful. Not and the things that you can put inside of them are endless. You don't have to stuff them to eat them. They're good on salads. If I'm not in the mood to do all that work, I use them in my breakfast foods when I'm making eggs or potatoes. They're delicious. They have a different flavor than bell pepper, different than jalapeno. They're not. Some people think they're spicy. Um, to me, they just have a flavorful flavor. I love them. They're very large. You only need one if you're gonna put it in breakfast. They store well. They're prolific, and I really enjoy growing these. And I really love the way they smell when they're being toasted and roasted. Number three, poblano peppers. My next one is an herb, and it's basil. I love basil, and I figured out that I've always liked the regular Genovese basil, the one that everyone thinks of. That's the most common, I think. But then last season, I discovered all of the types of, not all of them, but because there's tons, but lots of different kinds of basils: lemon, lime, cinnamon, chocolate, holy. This particular variety is a new one that's being offered at Baker Creek called Blue Spice. Um, they, I'm excited. I'm excited because I love the flavors of basil. They're very prolific plants. They're healthy for you to make pestos, to put in fresh food, salads, to cook with, even to make teas out of. What I do with some of them, because they smell so amazing, is I infuse them in oils to make products like chapsticks and candles and soaps. And I love basil. I love all kinds of basils, and and I'm excited. I'll always have basil growing in my garden. The next one, I never thought about growing this when I first started gardening, and I definitely didn't think that I would love it as a food because I didn't eat much of it, if any of it, until I grew it, and that's eggplant. I will always have eggplant in my garden. There's different varieties of eggplant, of course. This is the typical one that we see at the grocery store, but I love eggplant. It's gorgeous. It's beautiful to grow. It's easy to grow. Um, and then the recipes are endless. You can cut it open, olive oil, salt on the grill, perfect. You can bake it. You can make baba ganoush. There's so many things you could do with this eggplant. I really enjoy eating it. It's super beneficial for you, and I'll always have it in my garden. Grow it, I can't stop. And actually, I made some with my rice last night for dinner from my last season harvest, which is okra. This particular variety is the clumsy and spineless okra. It's the type of okra that most people think of and know of, the most commonly known one. But I've grown burgundy okra, and this year I'm excited to even grow a new variety called heavy hitter, which is supposed to be super prolific and grow tons more than they already grow because it's a pretty prolific plant. Again, tons of different recipes, super beneficial for your health and your body wellness. And so I'm excited for that. Thing that I will always grow in my garden is lemon balm. I recently learned about lemon balm. Lemon balm is an herb. It's related to the mint family, or it's part of the mint family. It smells very lemony. If you've ever dusted with pledged lemon scent, people say it smells like that, if you know how that smells. It smells delicious. It tastes delicious. You can eat it fresh in a salad. You can cook with it. I got into it because I get anxiety, and my sister told me to drink lemon balm tea that's supposed to help with anxiety. So I bought some from the store, and I started drinking it, and I started drinking 1 and 2 and 3 cups a day, and it was really helpful. It's not like valerian root or anything. You don't get knocked out to sleep, and it just turns off your mind and allows you to be at peace and relax. It just feels good. It doesn't make you feel intoxicated or anything like that. It's very nice until I tasted it fresh tea, until I harvested the leaves in my garden, put them in a cup of hot water, a dab of honey. It was amazing. I will never buy lemon balm tea from the store again, and I will always have lemon balm in my garden. And during the winter time, like now, I have it in my mason jars as I've dried it to store it for tea. It is amazing. And the same with basil, because it smells so beautiful. You can infuse it in oils and make different things with it. You can't go wrong with having lemon balm. The next one is cabbage. I love cabbage. I've grown cabbage in the past. I've had an actual cabbage patch. So red cabbage and green cabbage. Tons of recipes. I love it. I can eat it raw. I can eat it on my tacos. I can eat it in salads. I can cook with it. All kinds of things. I love cabbage, and I'll always have cabbage in my garden, and I will always have cabbage at my home. The next thing was radish. Radish is one of the first roots that I've ever grown, and they are just so easy. If you're a brand new gardener, not sure of what you're doing or how to do it, start with radish. You can't mess it up. They're gonna grow no matter what, and you're gonna get, and it's fast. In less than a month, less than 30 days, harvest of radish. Um, and because they grow so fast and they like the cool weather, and and you can put more than one crop. So you don't just have to have radish at one time for 30 days and you're done. You can succession plant them. You can plant them in the spring and in the fall. You can plant them in between. The greens are also good. I try to eat them. I haven't eaten them yet, but I'm determined to still try. Once they get mature, the leaves, they just look kind of pokey, and it's not something that you could eat raw. You would definitely have to cook them down. I heard they're very beneficial for you. Um, it's a process for me and for other people to start eating food from the garden. I mean, we all know what greens are, broccoli, things where they come from and how they're made. You have to get yourself in the correct mindset to be able to eat them, because we're so disconnected from our food. We're used to seeing it bright and shiny on the store shelves, and that's not how real food is dirty, and the best food is dirty. Obviously, you wash it, but we're used to other stuff, and so it's a mindset and a shift. And I'm going to try radish greens soon. The next thing that we'll always have, that's a new thing that I learned recently about, is hyssop. Hyssop is beautiful. It gets about 2 feet tall. It's an herb. It gets purple and pink tiny flowers that the bees love. Hyssop is beneficial in tea, and you can use it for culinary purposes. When you drink it as a tea, it's super beneficial for your lung health. And so with all of the COVID things going on and being a respiratory disease or virus, it's really helpful for your lungs and breathing. It has tons of properties, anti-inflammatory, tons and tons and tons. Hyssop is also referenced in the Bible, which I learned about recently as well. If you know the Bible, there are 2 times when it's mentioned in the Bible. I don't know the Bible that well, so I'm not going to pretend like I can quote scriptures. But one of the times that it was mentioned was whenever the people's firstborn were going to be taken or killed. And so you had to use a brush of hyssop to paint over the doorways with the blood of a lamb. And the hyssop was referenced there. It was also referenced in the part of the Bible when Jesus was on the cross and they gave him a, a drink of wine from a hyssop branch. So they dipped the hyssop in the bottle of wine, and he drank it off of the hyssop. And the reason it's referenced in these ways is because hyssop is a very cleansing, purifying type of herb. And so it's symbolic that the properties of the herb and the way in which it's used both historically and today, it's definitely something to look into, definitely something to have. I even have some beautiful dried piece of hyssop hanging over my front door because of those purifying and cleansing properties. And so I'm all about energy, spirituality, and so I want to cover all the bases with all of the knowledge and all of the things that I can. And I'm really into hyssop. So these are things that are the top 10 that I will always have in my garden every single season. And everything else, there's like 100 of everything else. I'm looking around all these seeds that I like, the ones that are fitting on the table. There's some on the chair behind me and on the floor around me. So everything else gets crammed in there, and we fit it in there somehow. Where there's a will, there's a way, and I always make a way because I have lots of will. So those are the top 10. I hope that you're inspired by some of them or the stories. Let me know what your favorite must-haves are in your garden. And if you have any tips or tricks on how or why, what's the story behind those that inspired you to make them on your top 10. That's all for now. Thanks for stopping by. Have a great day.